These are the lush green hills that lead to the unmatched scenic splendor of the Swiss Alps, serving today as the backdrop for a sport that yearns for major acceptance in the United States. A sport that in this part of the world engulfs countless thousands in nationalistic fervor. In many European countries, cycling is more than a sport. It's an obsession. And so it is that the greatest cyclists in the world, men and women, professional and amateur, have come here to Altenrhein in the northeast corner of Switzerland near the Austrian border to compete in the World Road Racing Championships. The battle for supremacy is a grueling one, an endurance test spanning several hours and seemingly endless miles up and down the twisting route laid out over the slopes of the Rorschach Mountains. It is a test of individual courage and determination that only a seasoned road racer can fully appreciate. Through the years, it has been riders from Italy and Belgium who have dominated the World Championships. But that domination is being challenged by a strong contingent of vastly improved American riders. Hello, I'm Gary Gerald, and we're awaiting the start of the supreme event in cycle racing, the grueling World Road Racing Championship for professionals. And there's a tremendous sense of anticipation, particularly in the American camp, as for the first time in the near 60-year history of this competition, there are two U.S. riders, Jonathan Bowyer and Greg LeMond, who are accorded possible chances of victory. When you consider the fact that just a few years ago, the main objective of American riders was merely to finish World Championship competition, you can see the great strides we've taken in the last few years. The course is a scenic one, but it's a gray, cold, overcast day overlooking Lake Constance. The riders are bundled at the start, ready to attack a 9-mile circuit, but they're going to go around 18 times, a total in excess of 167 miles. Joining our Sports World coverage today, the renowned European cycling expert Phil Liggett, who's at the far end of this massive tribune.
Well, Gary, this really is the most coveted of all the professional world titles, the road race. Isn't the rider down there on the start line who doesn't want to take this world title back home with him? Because within 2 seasons, he could be a millionaire. Now, the weather could pose a problem. It's a long day in the saddle, and it's cold. If it remains cold or if it rains, then that will really get through to the riders, and believe me, it can affect the race wholeheartedly. Now, America can be expected to do well, and there are many riders down there, especially the Italians, Belgians and French, who need this title really badly. I think we're going to see a very, very good World Championship that could, at the end of the day, give us a world champion from the United States.
And of course, Phil, if that were to happen, it would be a first for the United States. The best the country has ever done in the World Championships. Greg LeMond's silver medal finish, a second-place effort 1 year ago. The starter's gun sends 118 riders away from the start line now. It should be a very long day on this demanding course.
Indeed, Gary, that's for sure. And I think what we'll find on this opening lap is the riders will begin to feel the way around. They're all going to be a little bit frightened of the surface. It's very slippery, and the roads up in the hills are extremely narrow. The defending world champion, Giuseppe Cerrone of Italy, is a man not on form and not expected to defend his title. And I think the challenges here for the crown will probably come from people like Phil Anderson of Australia.
Our friends from Swiss Television providing us with beautiful pictures throughout the day, both from the helicopter in the air and from motorcycles on the ground. Earlier, we had an opportunity to visit with the American contender, Jonathan Bowyer, about the intricacies and demands of this course. Our tour guide visually, the famous Austrian cyclist Luki Schmidleitner.
The start is on the right next to the sea, pretty flat. It's going to start off everybody. It's a very wide road, so everybody will be pretty much grouped together. And then we take a right turn and we go up the first hill, which normally will go up very fast because it's not that long and it's not really that steep. But it's hard enough that people can go really hard and, you know, make some decision there. People will be dropping off the back and some people will probably be trying to attack. Then after that, you have a level spot.
And a good point, Jonathan, for the leaders to stretch out, reaching speeds of 45 to 50 miles per hour.
And then you go down a slight hill and you take a left turn, and that's where the second hill starts. It's a little bit difficult at the start of it, and then it sort of eaves off and goes through the woods. The woods part will probably be very fast.
And very dangerous, we might add, Jonathan. Drop-offs in places up to 100 feet. A fall there would be just simply disastrous. A At the top, one of the most scenic points on the course overlooking beautiful Lake Constance. And then onto the treacherous descent, where you come downhill literally flying. It speeds up to 60 miles per hour. Significant risk factor compounded by the rain of today. Once you've successfully negotiated that treacherous descent, it's onto a near 2-mile flat. What do we look for here, Phil?
Well, any advantage gained in the mountains, Gary, this is where the rider must press it home.
And Jonathan, what do you think it'll be like as you near the end of 167 miles?
It will be, as most all European World Championships, it's going to be a race where the riders are eliminated off the back. And at the end, I feel there will be a little small group, not that many, and then perhaps one rider alone.
And Jonathan, we know who you think that rider will be. The Stars and Stripes indeed very much in evidence here near the head of the pack, but it's Greg LeMond who is among the leaders, sharing a drink here with a fellow rider from Norway. Sports World will be back with more of the World Cycling Championships here in Switzerland. Cycling is passionately enjoyed by those folks here in Alten Rhein in Switzerland, but they also display a passion for their beer drinking. Indeed, a carnival atmosphere prevails in the makeshift pubs near the start-finish area.
Gary, a world title couldn't be won in Europe without saying Prost a few times.
Out on the course, however, there is an atmosphere of much more intensity. And for the first time today, we're watching a group of 13 riders break away from the main field now. They're attacking one of the tough hilly sections of this 9.2-mile loop.
And LeMond in the center of the pack now with no hat on, with the Stars and Stripes, doing very well on this climb of the mountain. The only real challenger to LeMond here is Kim Andersen of Denmark, third from the rear.
This group breaking away has opened up the first significant lead that we have seen. The major portion, the major field of the riders well back. Eric Heiden, no, he is not in the field. The Olympic speed skater, now a renowned cyclist, but the community of Heiden close by to this course in the Warschach Mountains.
It'll be interesting to see, Gary, who's out in front on this main chasing group now, because, of course, in that lead pack, LeMond and Kim Andersen of Denmark, and the two quite dangerous men.
We're also keeping an eye out for Jonathan Boyer. He is not with that breakaway group of 13, as now the second pack comes toward us.
Well, leading this is Phil Anderson of Australia, a man who declared at the start of the race today that he wanted to win the title for the first time. Also fourth in line there is Sean Kelly of Ireland. There is Jonathan Boyer now, sixth in line with the white hat on.
Your assessment of how they look at this point, Phil?
Well, this long line of riders, Gary, indicates the pressure's on at the front, and it's being caused, of course, by the young American, Greg LeMond, and here we are with this front group now. LeMond there, still riding well in fourth place, showing, I think, his liking for the climbs. He's going to feel very pleased with his performance right now because he's making the favourites come to him.
A year ago in the World Championships, there was controversy among the American team. Boyer, within a quarter mile of the finish, had an apparent victory within his grasp, but then LeMond led an attack that swept past Boyer, the result being LeMond second, Boyer 10th. Bitter feelings have followed.
Last year I was overjoyed at getting second in the World Championships, and for 1 year, and that's why I hope to do good tomorrow, because for 1 year I've heard just tremendous criticism about what happened last year. And my own opinion is that if Boyer would have won, he would have won outright if he was the strongest. If I would have been Italian, nobody would have said anything. And he knew from the start that we were not friends, that we have been enemies for 2 years before that, and that the race was one for each other. I mean, one for one.
I'm very proud of being American, and I really feel that as Americans, we should stay together, and the better riders we have, the better off we'll be. And the fact that two of us among the 260 million people fight is absolutely absurd, and I don't think there's any place for it in the sport, and I really feel that it shouldn't happen. I really feel that, you know, we've got a very good country to respect and to, you know, represent, and I think we should represent it in the best way possible. I don't think our own small ego should come before our country.
I'm trying to forget about it and race my own races and race for my results, because that's the main thing. That's the most important thing for me.
So clearly, Greg LeMond rides for himself, and at the moment he rides very well here among the leaders at this stage of the World Road Racing Championship in Switzerland. Jonathan Bowyer, meanwhile, more team-oriented, but in reality, only Bowyer and LeMond, of the 6 men who wear the Stars and Stripes, can be considered true contenders.
You know, Gary, I think it has to be said LeMond is being a little bit cheeky here because he's attempting to leave behind all the world's great cyclists, many of them who've become millionaires over the last 2 or 3 years. LeMond is an impetuous rider. He likes to get on with the job in hand, and after all, he does pull in around $100,000 a year, so that puts him in quite a big-time bracket in European cycling.
So Greg LeMond continues his bid to become the first American rider ever to win a gold medal in the World Road Racing Championship.